is going to be presented by Cognizant team. Mr. Rajasekar Rajendran, Pavan, Kumar, Padmini, Venkata, Satish is going to present the same, and their topic is agility in health sciences validation. Welcome you once again. Over to you, Rajesh.
Yeah. So thanks, Kumar. Thanks for setting the stage here. So let's get started, right? Let me share my screen. So please let me know if you're all able to view my screen. Yeah. Hope my screen is visible, right? Okay, fine. Great. Okay. So yeah. So very good morning to you all, and this is Rajasekar from Cognizant, and today we will be discussing about agility in health sciences validation. And before I get into this topic, I would like to thank the entire STC team and the QAI team for providing us an opportunity to present our topic in this esteemed forum. And I would also apologize that I could not bring all my co-authors into the session because they were held up in other activities, and apologies again for that. But I will be representing the entire team for this topic today. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, and agenda that's the agenda slide. So this goes the agenda for today's session. So a quick introduction about the authors, and then health sciences agenda for 2022 and beyond, and the solution tenets, that is how are we going to implement agility in validation, and the implementation of validation in agile environments, and cybersecurity in agile validation, and modern ways of agile validation, and then comes the conclusion part of it, right? So going to slide number 3, which talks about health sciences agenda for 2022 and beyond. So before getting into this topic, maybe I'll just take a minute and say why we chose this topic, right? So agility in health sciences validation, right? So as we hear the word agile, right, what comes to our mind is mostly of lesser documentation, easier process, faster turnaround time, and greater flexibility. These are the key things when it comes to our mind when we hear the word agile, right? And when we hear the word validation, right, what comes to our mind is like it is process heavy, document heavy, and it is more time consuming, right? So these are the two things that comes to our mind when we hear the word agile and validation, right? So what we thought is we wanted to bridge these two and to do an amalgamation so that we can bring in all the advantages of agile or all the best practice of agile into validation, so that we can make a win-win situation at both angles, and ensure like validation is also not as like as we would think as difficult or no process heavy kind of, right? So that's the reason we wanted to bring these two together. And the next, now coming into this slide, right? So health sciences agenda for 2022 and beyond. So why we so before doing this paper, right, we also want to do an analysis or survey to understand what are all the top 5 priorities from the CIOs of organizations who are supporting pharma customers, right? So this was taken as a secondary survey, and the top 5 priorities, where the first one comes the end customer and business aligned priorities, right? So as you know, for any industry, any business or any service industry, customer is the key, right? So adhering to the customers requirements, adhering to the business aligned priorities and customer priorities will be very much essential. And how do we achieve it is through continuous discussions, collaborations with the customers, and understanding their ways of working, and try to implement that in our way of working. That's how we can align to the customer business priorities, and that will be the top priority for any industry, right? And the second priority is enabling IT to become more digital ready, right? As you know, right, today digital readiness is the buzzword across the industry, right? All organization wants to move into the digital adoption, and focusing towards like, if since we are talking about agility in validation and in the health sciences industry, we our focus will be more on digital medicine, precision medicine, bringing in wearables and IoTs, right? So how do we bring in agile? As you know, right, through the design thinking and agile DevOps way of working, we can build a product which is no more. We can make the product more digital ready. As I know, right, wearing in wearables and IoTs, right? Say in the COVID pandemic, right, we were many of them are using smartwatches with applications built inside that, which will regularly track our the vitals like heart rate or pulse rate, and that can send the information to a centralized application where the physicians or doctors will keep a track of it. And if it goes beyond a threshold value, that alerts the physician or the doctor via some SMS messages or through the on-screen display systems. and they will do the digital medicine to us, and I mean they can also share the medicines via online prescription, and which we can use for our consumption, right? That is enabling to become digital ready. And the third top five priority is optimizing legacy for ultra efficient operations, right? So for any organizations in the current scenario, right, any organization to remain in business and to be successful in business, optimization will be a key factor, right? So optimization and continuous improvement will be helping the organizations to mature, and once they mature they'll have to stabilize, and once they stabilize they'll have to sustain, right? In order to achieve all this, optimization and continuous service improvement will be the key factor. And how do we provide optimization and continuous improvement? Through agile. As you know, agile is having a lighter process and offers greater flexibility of changes in the requirement and so on. And with the adoption of cloud, right, we are also able to reduce cost. Instead of using on-premise servers, which are most cost consuming, and rather moving into a cloud-based service will also reduce our cost, right? That is one aspect which we can think of, like no way of efficient operation. Moving to the hi-fi number four is building highly safe, secure, stable, and compliant IT system, right? So this is another key important point. As in the current scenario, building highly safe, secure, and stable systems is the key. And we will be able to bring it via through cyber security checks, and also bringing DevSecOps, where the security part is built inside the code, and the developers are made aware of the the importance of the security concept, and how we can bring the security concept within the code itself, so that the code becomes more robust, and prevents from ethical hacking, or no, it is like not vulnerable for any other attackers, right? And the next point is like distinctly new talent and operating model capabilities, right? So today in the agile world, as the word agile says, the teams are always cross functional, right? As you know, we'll have developers, we'll have testers, we'll have UI UX designers, we have data architects, we have cloud architects, and this forms a complete self independent team, right? So their team is self reliant and independent team, so that they don't have to depend on any other external team for delivery or things. That makes them faster delivery and most more agile in delivery, right? And in the current pharma customers, they are also trying to build in their own captive, set up their own operating models, which can improve their ways of working, and improve their profitability as well. So this is another priority which the CIOs are seeing how can we help them on this, like. And there are multiple platforms which helps them in achieving that. Say we have Salesforce, we have SFDC, we have ServiceNow, and all those things, right? Now, again, how and with all these hi-fis, how are we going to get connected to this hi-fi? Our topic is agility in life sciences validation. How are we going to link with this, right? So as I'm going back to the point number four, which talks about building highly safe, secure, stable, and compliant IT systems, right? So with that, safety and security. As you know, for validated systems, patient safety, product quality, and data integrity, these are all the key factors, and that has to be achieved. And in order to achieve that, we'll have to ensure we follow all the new GXP principles. So when I say GXP, it's good clinical, good laboratory, manufacturing principles, and also to adhere to the CAM guidances, and in adherence to the FDA regulations, right? So that's how we are going to link ourselves into this topic, and all this can be all this can be achieved by through our digital ecosystems, right? So just we wanted to inform you, we want to provide this slide which will show the key hi-fis of that are the CIO hi-fis of the current scenario for 2022 and beyond, and how we are going to interrelate into this. We are going to our topic is getting interrelated into this CIO hi-fis. So with that, I'm going to the next slide, which is slide number five, which is the solution tenets for agility in validation. So this slide will talk about how are we going to implement agility in validation, right? So for any transformation activity, as we know, like the transformation levers are the key, right? So we have also identified some three basic transformation levers, which are people, process, and technology and tools. So what is the transformation that we have to do in people, process, and technology? So first we'll take about process. So we have to do a process customization. Why and how we do a process customization, right? Since we are dealing with validated systems, the very first thing is that we'll have to understand the GAM category of the application first. That's the very first and foremost step. So once we understand the GAM category through a risk assessment or risk system criticality assessment, we identify what level of category is this application, what is the risk level involved in this application, and whether the system is an ER compliant or not, ERES is required or not. All that checkpoints will be done in the initial risk assessment itself. Once we do that, we get the GAM category. And once we get the GAM category of the system, we will do the customization of the process according to the GAM category, right? So once that is done, the next term is like customization in terms of DOD and DOR. As you know, DOR and DOD as pure agile terminologies, and how are we going to merge into this validation? So for validation, We are going to enhance the DoD and DOR checklist so that we are also going to bring in validation related aspects inside this, so that during the execution of the project, these checkpoints are also considered. We are bringing in IT controls through DoD and DOR so that those checkpoints are also checked and monitored throughout the project execution. Right? And the proactive risk assessment, which we already talked about, the system critical risk assessment. And adopting change is, as Agile Manifesto says, adopting change in the development is also one of the critical factor. And documentation at right sequence in sprints, right? So as you know, validation has a lot of documentations. There are a lot of review and approval process that has to happen. And since the work is done in agile ways, there are sprints, and the delivery is done in regular intervals. That will again indirectly or directly helps us, because like all the review and approval, as the team is self-reliant and self-sufficient, they know their responsibilities, and the review and approval mechanisms become smooth and on time, right? And that helps for the validation as well. And with the sprint demos, right, happening at regular intervals with the customers, there is no surprise at the end of the game, so that ensuring the product quality. So we are just giving it a high level of what are the process customization that has to happen. And then comes the people enablement. As you know, like for success of any transformation journey, transforming the team and transforming the people, or training the people is becoming the key. So on the left side here, we see about the various waterfalls roles, right? So waterfall, we have project manager, delivery manager, developer, tester, validation manager, etc. On the right side, we see about we see the agile roles, like we have product owner, product manager, scrum master, agile team, developer, tester, and so on and so forth. So what we want to do here is we wanted to make an amalgamation or bridge these two roles, so that so that the validation knowledge and the agile knowledge is spread across the team. So in case of the waterfall team, the knowledge of validation is already available with the team, and the validation manager is going to be the key role here, right? So we wanted the validation manager to train on the scrum concepts, and he will be playing the role of a scrum master, so that as he already knows the validation concepts, he will get trained on the scrum concepts, and he will be the transforming, or he will be the driving factor for this transformation. He will drive the agile ways of working along with the validation concepts into the team. And we also wanted the team to be trained on the agile ways of working, so that the team is completely equipped on the agile ways of working. And there can be a seamless knowledge transfer from happening across, right? So just a second, yeah, right. So this is regarding the people element. Key thing is train the we wanted to recommend the validation manager to play the role of a scrum master, and all the other team members will get trained on agile ways of working, and the validation manager will drive this validation agile way. Next one is tooling. As you all know, right, there are various tools in the industry that help for agile project management, like say for example Jira for agile project delivery, Selenium we can use for automated testing. There are various control and other tools which is used for monitoring the application, and so on. There are various tools available in the market. What CSV intends to use is for all the applicable tools. There has to be a validation that has to be done. Applicable level of validation has to be done, so that it ensures patient safety, product quality, and data integrity. Right. So, having discussed on all these three bullets, what is that benefit we will be achieving, or what is the benefit that we will achieve? Right. This again is the industry benchmark. Following agile in validation way, in validation process reduces the time spent in review and appraisal by 70%, and this in turn enables faster turnaround time. And this is a reality that we have also seen in our project. I will also come back to that point. And another thing is the reduction of the development effort and cost by 25%. As we have regular daily stand-ups, right? There is a uniform understanding with the team, and there is no rework activity, either the rework activity is kept to a minimal range, right? That is a thing. And product launches have come 20% under budget, and with 20% improvement in productivity thing, right? These are all the industry benchmarks, and I would like to take a couple of minutes to explain what is that we have done for one of our pharma customers, and how that has benefited the team, right? So, Cognizant recently have done an validation activity for one of our pharma manufacturing giant, and we had implemented the a validation process for their laboratory information management system, and that has been validated in agile way. And mainly, the greatest advantage is the system is getting validated in adherence to the FDA regulations, and the team who has been working on the ground, they are more confident in facing the FDA audits, the upcoming FDA audits. And they will be knowledgeable, or they are also trained enough, so that right they will be able to handle the future projects in validation by themselves without an external consultant for them. So that's the level of training and confidence that we have given to them, and we have seen them seen them executing the way how we wanted to, right? We have also set up the maintenance team for them, and they are able to do a sufficient self reliant. We have set up a self reliant team for the customer now. Okay. Having said that, go to the next slide. This slide will go granular about validation in agile environment. So as I said, the initial stuff. This will be that. I mean, this slide will talks about the the general validation. I mean, general sprint way of working. Right. Additionally, we are going to tell you how we have inserted the validation concept into that. Right. Say that, for example, the product owner will be normally doing the user story prioritization and getting the product backlog, and creating from the product backlog we move on to the sprint backlog, right? So here we do a system criticality assessment at the upfront, at the very starting stage of the project, to identify the system criticality. What is the gap category? What is the risk level of the system? What is whether the system is E or S or not? So all that will be done. So once that is done, the next thing is creation of validation strategy or the validation plan. So there we have an IT control setup. Like once only if the risk assessment is done or the system criticality assessment is done, then we'll be able to step into this validation plan and validation strategy creation activity. And once that is done, we go to the sprint planning, where we are going to enhance the definition of ready and definition of done, right? So definition of ready normally checks whether the system, the requirement is finalized, whether the functions the story is finalized, all that. Here we are going to bring an additional factor of functional risk assessment. We are going to bring in IT control to check if the functional risk assessment has been done for the requirement or not. Likewise, we'll add validation specific checkpoints into the definition of ready, so that the team can also ensure the validation related checkpoints are done and then and there, as they go along the development activity, right? So once that is done, then the regular sprint activity of development, coding, and testing and system testing happens in that sprint. And once it is all done, we move to the definition of done, right? Again, in the definition of done, apart from the regular checkpoints that we have for agile, we also have enhanced this to ensure like whether whether the user story has been tested as per the risk level identified or not. So those kind of IT controls we have brought in, so that to ensure the validation aspects are taken care in each and every step. So that's how, and after this definition of done is done, it's a regular cycle. We complete the sprint, and the sprint retrospection happens, and the next sprint starts, and the same activity is getting circled in for the as many number of sprints as required. And then going to the next slide. This slide will talk about cyber security in agile validation, right? So and this is one of the differentiating factors. So in addition to doing like validation using agile ways of working, what addition we can do, right? So by doing the so by this ensures that adequate controls, right? We are bringing adequate controls in place by implementing the generic IT controls and specific IT controls to ensure patient safety, product quality, and data integrity, right? So for example, there are various controls, right? Say for example, access management, preventive controls, and incident management controls, and controls for backup and recovery. So what we have done is we have ensured like role-based access controls are given for authorized users. We have brought in COVID controls in this process itself, so that we have implemented DSS not 6 not 3 is implemented to check if proper access management is in place or not. And we have also introduced IT controls specific for validation. Say for example, activation, automatic activations for levers, and automatic deactivation for temporary resources, right? So when I say temporary resources, right, say for example, a resource might be working in the pharma domain in the company right now, and after a point of time he will be moving to an R&D domain, right? So in that case, when he is moving from a pharma domain to an R&D domain, automatically his access to all the pharma applications will be deactivated on the last working day of his thing in the pharma domain. And once he moves into the R&D domain, access will be given to the required application for the newer domain. So main thing is we have automated it and brought in IT control to check if that automation is also properly working or not. So when the next thing is like, for example, preventive controls, right? So segregation of duties, right? Segregation of duties for development and implementation, right? So as per the COVID control, you've also implemented DSS not 6 not 8 IT controls to ensure that there are proper mitigation plans are there in place to ensure if there are any conflicts in SODs, right? So as you know, agile and validated environment, right? We know that an author for any documentation work, right? An author cannot be the same as a reviewer. So that checkpoint or that control is also brought in through this preventive control checks, right? And we can also bring in various tools for code quality like Sonar Cube and this thing for enhancing the code quality, right? Again, when it comes to the incident management, backup and recovery process, again we have brought in some controls to ensure like if there are any major incident alerts, right? We have IT controls to check whether it's a false alert or a true alert, and take necessary action based on the nature of the alert. right? And also like to implement DSS not for not sound to check if there is a proper BCP plan in place or not, right? And then on if you see the right side, we are having the application specific controls like specification of specific application called like pre-OQ controls or OK control. These again can be customized to the nature of the application. Say for example, you have customized and no brought in IT control to check before, for example, if there is an operation qualification that has to happen. We have just ensured like before the operation qualification happen whether the resources are trained adequately on this topic or not, right? So if there will be an IT control to check if only trained resources will be allowed for performing the OQ testing, right? Whether there is a test strategy and test plan automatically, meaning they are approved before the testing starts, so that also is put in as an IT control checkpoint. And when it comes to the operation qualification, we have controls, we have button controls to check if proper test results have been captured. And when since it's a validated industry, right, license industry, for handling study setup projects we have electronic data capture forms, right? So we have built in controls to check on the screen validation. Say for example, when we are capturing the data on the screen, that will be validated upfront, and say if there is any erroneous data, it will throw an error message to the no person who is feeding the data. So those controls are also brought in. Again, with the usage of bots also we have brought in many automatic access control systems and access management, and we are using bots for generating a report from the application and those things. So these are all the modern ways of working which you want to bring in. Certain controls are applicable at the project level, and certain controls we have deployed at the sprint level, so that adequate checks and balances are there in place, right? Then I'm going to the next slide, which is one of the this will be the key expectation of this session. What we wanted to say here, this talks about the modern ways of validation, right? As you know, like health sciences industry is embracing the digital first philosophy in specific to agile validation, right? So what is that modern ways of validation we are doing? So 10 years before, right, when I was in the validation area, when I was a validation manager, I used to sign whenever there is a validation activity done, I used to take a printout of the test results. I love to sign the paper like, okay, I've reviewed it, I've approved it. I love to do a signature and a physical means, and then scan the paper, send it to the customers, right? That those days are gone, right? Now what we are doing is we are brought in electronic records and electronic signature concept, so that no, we digitalize the electronic signature format. There is no printout and there is no hard copy taken. That's again improves our data security and reduces the cost for the customer. And that is one of the modern ways, as I said, a proactive risk mitigation, right? As for any validation, the first initial trigger point will be the risk assessment or the system criticality assessment. That also has been automated, so that a project manager, when he or she is starting her new project, right, they can have this. We have built in a system which will automate. If it is a validated system, it will throw up a form which no throw up a form which will open, and that project manager, he or she has to give the information regarding the application, and the system will automatically understand what is the nature of the project about, and identify the GAM category, and let us show like what is the level of validation process that you have to order to. So then that will also help them to identify the risk upfront and do the risk mitigation control accordingly, so that have a safer delivery. And augmented reality is the next ongoing topic, which has been gaining which is gaining into the life sciences industry as well. And this in the pandemic area has gained more importance. And for example, this can help the doctor or the physician, right, to explain the patient what is the treatment that is going to happen for them. They can show instead of just a video, they can go the augmented reality can, if I take an example, can show the doctor the functionality of a heart and how they are going to remove the block. That can be shown to the patient via an augmented reality, which can be of will be a better satisfaction to the patient, in considering this current scenario of health condition, right? Next is IoT, Internet of Things. As you know, in the COVID, everybody were consulting doctor via this teleconferencing and video conferencing system. There are smartwatches sensor, meaning developed with applications built inside that, which will automatically capture our heart rate and pulse rate and send the information to the particular application, which is monitored by doctors and physicians, right? And they will monitor that application. If something goes wrong, automatically we can get a digital message alert to the physicians, and the next steps can be done in an innovative way, saving time and saving health, right? And last but not the least is the advanced analytics. As you know, data quality is the prime key, is very much important in the current ways of working. And in the life sciences industry, we have there are multiple restrictions in terms of data. We'll have to comply with the GDPR rules, where the PII patient, person identified information or the sensitive information cannot be leaked out. So we'll have to ensure the data quality and the data analytics are there in place to ensure that data anonymization, data masking is there, so that ensure the patient data is safeguarded. And we can also bring in various cyber security mechanisms, checkpoints, to ensure those data is being secured. And we can also have a process audit, automated process audits, to check if there are if the process is there in place to ensure data security, and safety, right? And with that, I'll take another couple of minutes to conclude here. So having seen all this, right, we have also have, from Cognizant, we have implemented multiple agile validation projects in the for our pharma customers, and we also have the real time experience of doing this validation in agile way. We could eventually see that, right, implementing agile in validation brings a lot of flexibility, and also, as you know, in agile, it is everything is delivered in terms of sprint, and we have brought in stringent risk control for every sprint, every activity. This that greatly benefits the team, and as you know, like the health sciences industry is becoming increasingly complex and going at a very faster pace than we have expected before, right? And right, and technology and tools and technology must also have to keep up the pace with them, so that to be in the market, right? So as you know, how agile is going to help it, right? As you know, agile is a faster process and have a greater flexibility. We Agile will be the best suited for validation, right? To top it on all this, right? So FDA has also approved, right? Approved the use of agile process for validation, and that has been approved by in the AAMITIR 45 report, that is Association of Advanced Medical Instrumentation. That team has done a technical investigation report and presented a paper to FDA, which tells the guidelines of using agile for validated system and medical device software, and FDA has approved that. So having said all this, and right, this proves that agile can be very much used in validated environment, and if we are going to use that, definitely brings down the drug development and delivery timelines, while enhancing the quality and efficiency of the products, ensuring the patient safety, product quality, and data integrity. Right. So I think with this I conclude and open up the forum for questions.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.